tried to do this a few times already, but this is just how I'm going to be, I guess, in this video. So I had a miscarriage. And I just want to say that if there are any other women out there that are going through the same thing, I'm very sorry. I never thought I was going to go through this. But it happened. It's happening right now. I just wanted to do this now because I feel like I need to speak. I need a vent. I've done that with my boyfriend. I've cried a lot by myself. But I need to do this for myself. I want to say that if there are any women out there that are watching this that are going through a miscarriage, have gone through one, and you feel like something might trigger you, then maybe fast forward, or I don't know. Because I will be going into detail about everything that happened to me, that's happening to me. And it might cause triggers, so I'm very sorry. This is the hardest thing that has happened to me. I'm sorry if you hear noises everywhere. My dogs are here licking themselves, and it's snowing outside, so it's like gloomy, muggy. You hear the trucks that are cleaning passing by, so well, it all started on February 8th. Yeah, it was the 8th, a Friday. When I woke up, I had the tiniest spotting. I looked online, you know how we are, we Google everything. Give me a second. Stop. Tootsie, please. Oh, if you hear Sesame Street, my son is watching Sesame Street right now because I've been pretty much allowing him to do whatever he wants, and that breaks my heart too. So that Friday I saw dark spotting, like brown. So I googled, and it said that perhaps it's just your uterus or your cervix like opening up, and this can be normal, but if you see more blood, if it turns brighter, go to the hospital, go to your doctors. So I only had it like every time I went to pee, I had like the smallest dark spots on my paper. So I was like, well, let it go. I thought my OB would be open on the weekend, on Saturday, but the next morning when I woke up, the first thing I went to do was go to the bathroom. I wiped myself. My boyfriend was still here. He was getting ready to go to work. I wiped myself, and the blood was brighter. It was brighter, and it was a little more than it was the day before. So I was just like, I think I was in denial. I feel like I'm still in denial. Like, how could this happen? I feel like this all day long. Like, I'm thinking about one thing and then I can't finish my thoughts. I'm so sorry that I'm just like crying the whole time. But it's just how I feel right now. I can't help it. So there was more blood. I told my boyfriend, and he was like, let's go to the hospital. I'm terrified of hospitals. So I was like, no, everything will be okay. I'll go to my doctors. I'll see if they're open. I looked online and they were closed. So I told him, just go to work. if things get worse, I'm gonna ask my mom to come with me to the hospital because I was watching my nephew and I'm here with my son. And I wasn't gonna take them both in the ER. So the day went on, and every time I went to the bathroom, there was blood. It wasn't so much like I was soaking pads. Like, I read online and it said, how many pads are you soaking an hour? That depends on if you know, like, you're having a miscarriage, go to the hospital. But I wasn't soaking any pads. My underwear wasn't getting dirty. It was just when I went to the bathroom to pee and I would wipe, that's when I would see the bright blood. So then around 6 o'clock, my mom got here and I was like, I want to go to the hospital. She freaked out and I was like, Mom, I can't be freaking out. Everything's gonna be okay. She was like, okay, let's go. The hospital is literally like down the road, so it took us like 5-10 minutes. My dog is being so whiny lately. I don't know what he wants. So I get to the hospital, I walk in there. Mind you, at this point, we haven't even told his parents. I should rewind like a lot. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. But when I went to the hospital, I was 9 weeks. We still didn't tell his parents. The only people we told were my mom, my best friend and her sister, and another like couple that we're really close with. That's it. I was not comfortable telling his parents yet. At 6 weeks, I had a nightmare. Stop, please stop. I had a nightmare that my baby had, that I had gone to the bathroom and I had seen my baby come out in the toilet. And I told my boyfriend this and he was like, you're just overthinking because your ultrasound is coming up. But everything's okay. I had so many signs. Like, I had that dream. I didn't want to tell people. Like, usually you want to tell everybody, but this time I was like scared of telling anybody. And we only told like 4 people, and with that I feel like I told way too many. So when I get to the hospital, I just walk in by myself. My mom waits for me in the car because I didn't want the kids to be even in the waiting room. That's not like a nice place, you know? And everybody's sick. I didn't want them getting sick. So I told her, just wait in the car, please, and we'll see how long this takes. If anything, you'll just go back home and I'll call my boyfriend to pick me up. Because it was towards the end of the day when we went to the hospital. And he was coming out at 11. So that hospital was a complete mistake. I feel like if you're having a miscarriage and like it's a Sunday, let's say, your doctor's closed, might as well wait for the next day because this is what happened to me. So I go in, they ask me a million questions, your insurance card, they take a picture. At my hospital, they take a picture of you, I guess, to identify that it's you. And then they gave me my wristband. They asked me a whole bunch of questions like, how many pads are you soaking? Are you bleeding a lot? Does your back hurt? This and that. For most of them, I said no. Like, I'm only bleeding when I go pee and I wipe. So I thought that was a good sign. So then they, after like 10 minutes of that, they take me in and they tell me, here, pee in a cup, sit down and wait. I sat down waiting with that cup of pee in my hand at triage for half an hour. I stood up a few times and I was like, do I have to wait for someone to call me? Like, what's going on? So then they finally call me. They take my blood pressure, all of that jazz, and then they sit me where all the people in triage are. It's not even rooms. It's like curtains dividing everyone, beds and chairs. So they sit me in a chair and I waited my entire time there. I was there sitting in that chair for 5 hours with an IV in my arm. That hurt so bad. They took out blood, they put an IV, and it was just a waiting game that whole time I waited. So at 10:15, I remember the time because I was sitting in front of the main nurse's desk. So it was all of triage, and then in the middle, that's where I was sat, and then the nurse's desk was right there, and they have a giant clock. So it was 10:15 when they tell me, hey, well, before that, wait, let's go back. I got there around 6, so at 7:30 I saw the doctor for the first time, and she was like, she just touched my belly. She was like, does your back hurt? I was like, no. She was like, okay. Disappeared until 10:15 when I see an ultrasound tech. She wheels me out. She's very serious, very cold. Takes me into the room, tells me to change. When I lay down, she's doing the ultrasound. She's not saying a word. That's when I knew something was wrong, because I was trying to look at the screen and there was a point that she turned it towards her. But the time that I was looking, I couldn't see like a heartbeat. So when she turned it towards her, I knew something was wrong. She did that for like 10 minutes or 15. Then she was like, we have to do, I think it's a transvaginal check, where they put like that giant thing in you to really look inside and see what's wrong, check the heartbeat. So she does that, and her face, like, I can just tell. And I'm sitting there crying, and she's just quiet. She's not saying anything. And there's a point where I'm in my head, like, should I ask her? Do I ask her if everything's okay? Like, I don't know. I was just, like, so scared. In my head, I just kept going, should I ask her? Should I ask her? I have to ask her. This is my baby. So then I finally blurred out, and I'm like, is everything okay? She was like, I'm trying to look. Like, really quiet. Didn't even look at me. She was just like, I'm trying to look. And that's it. Like, she didn't tell me anything, but I could tell. And, like, we didn't hear a heartbeat the whole time, so I knew. You know, when you go get checked, they'll turn on the sound and you hear the heartbeat, and everything's okay. That didn't happen. And while she's checking me, she's like, this baby seems very small. And I think I mentioned that in my ultrasound video, that my doctor had mentioned that I was 7 weeks, but the baby looked very, very tiny. So we nicknamed the baby Jelly Bean. Like, to my friends, I would always be like, look at my jelly bean. My jelly bean is this size now. So she wasn't saying much. She just said, are you sure you're 9 weeks? Because this baby seems so much smaller. I was like, yeah. The doctor told me 2 weeks ago that I was 7 weeks. So today makes me 9 weeks and I think a day or 2. So she's like, where did you go? I told her where I went. I mean, I don't know why that matters to her. But then she goes, she had like this look on her face, and she's like, they didn't tell you anything else? I was like, no. I heard the heartbeat. Everything was fine. And then she says, no, she didn't say anything. That's all she said. Closed her mouth. And then when she took the thing out of me, she was like, don't move, you're bleeding a lot. That's when I freaked out. I was like, holy shit. Like, this can't be happening. And I was by myself. Not because my boyfriend wouldn't have been there, but he was working. We never thought this was gonna happen. I really thought I was gonna do this without crying, but I need to cry. I need to cry. So she tells me, go into the bathroom and change. And in the bathroom I was crying because I knew things weren't right. When I came out, I was like, is everything okay? I asked her again. She's like, I have to do my report and give it to the doctor. At that moment, I hated her. But later, I figured out that, like, she's not allowed to tell me anything. The doctor's the one that has to break it down to me. So I go back to triage. She wheels me back to triage. And by that time, I'm speaking to my boyfriend on the phone. I'm like, I'm scared. This is not good. He was already on his way. I think he like flew to the hospital because he got there so quick. But he didn't make it on time by the time the doctor came in to speak to me. So I'm sitting in triage from like 10:50 till about 11:15, 11:20. That's when the doctor came in. And she starts telling me all these things that I just don't understand. She told me I had a UTI. I've never had a UTI in my life, and I have one now. She just told me I need medication and you'll be fine. I guess that's what the tech was talking about when she said, oh, they didn't tell you anything else. I have that. And then she starts telling me that I have a miscarriage, but in her terms. And I was like, I had to tell her, I was like, so I'm having a miscarriage? She was like, yeah, I'm sorry. So that's when I broke down. I started crying. She was just there like looking at me all sad. And then I was like, can you please get my boyfriend? Because I was speaking to him on the phone and they weren't letting him in because visiting hours were over. But he can come into triage. They were just being assholes, I guess. They told him to wait. So while I'm speaking on the phone, she comes in to tell me the news. And I hung up on him. So he wasn't there with me for that second. But I told her before she left, can you go get my boyfriend? He's sitting outside. She's like, sure. She brings him in and he knew. When he saw me, he knew. All he had to do was move the curtain. He said, we lost the baby, didn't we? And he hugged me. And I cried. And then they called me up, gave me my prescription for the UTI, told me I had to do a follow-up. I still have to go to the doctor's because my place was completely booked and I had to wait. So now is when I'm gonna get into the little things that might be too graphic for some. So this is your time to exit, I guess. When we left the hospital, as soon as the wind hit me, like I started screaming uncontrollably. We got into the car, it was parked right there, and I was just crying and screaming. My boyfriend stepped out of the car to talk to my mom, to tell her like, look, when we get there, don't ask her any questions. I didn't want anybody to ask me anything. This is why I was upset that we told the few people that we did, because no, we had to like tell them like I had a miscarriage. So when he told my mom, like he just got back in the car. I continued to cry. I told him, don't leave the parking lot, I just want to sit here and cry. I sat there crying for like an hour. Then we got to our house and we were at the parking lot. I told him I didn't want to go in. I just wanted to cry and cry and cry and cry. And we were there for like another 30 to 40 minutes. Then we got home. As soon as I came in, I just went straight to my room. My son was already, no, he wasn't even sleeping. We brought him into bed with us. And I couldn't even sleep. I fell asleep crying, I guess, because the next morning I couldn't even open my eyes. My boyfriend came to check on me and my eyes were like glued shut from all the crying that I did. He had to give me like a piece of paper, to like a wet piece of paper, so that I can open my eyes, because I didn't even want to get out of bed. So the next day I wake up, I have a lot of crampy going on, and when I go to the bathroom I start seeing clots, huge ones. I called the doctors and like they couldn't see me because they were completely booked. They were booked in like, they have a few locations in my area. They have like 3 or 4 offices. They were completely booked. And by this time it's Monday and I can see them. They told me by Thursday. So on the phone she was just like, you can take Tylenol for the pain, take your other medication for the UTI and just like let things happen on their own. You'll be fine, which is like crazy for me to hear. But things started happening really quick. My boyfriend left to work at around 9, I believe, 9:30. And I couldn't even stand up because every time I stood up, a clot would come out. It wasn't like I was gushing blood everywhere. It was just like these clots that would come out. So I was going to the bathroom for like 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours. I was going to the bathroom every 20 to 30 minutes. And I was just dropping these giant clots that were like this big. I'm not even kidding. And every time I went, I was terrified that I was going to see my baby. I remember thinking to myself, I was like, if I see my baby in the toilet, I'm going to take him out of there because I'm not going to flush him. Him or her. I don't know what my baby was. I'm sorry if this is too much for some, but this is just how I'm feeling. So I feel like I need to let that out. So I was going through that, and I was going through intense cramping. It felt like I was going through labor, like in the beginning stages of labor with my son. It wasn't bad until I got to the hospital. Then it got real bad, and that's how I felt for like 3-4 hours of all of that. So then after about 5 to 6 hours, like my body started calming down. One big last like clot came out at like 6 o'clock, and after that my body has calmed down a lot. I'm having still a lot of cramping and I'm still bleeding, but I haven't seen any clots since then. But I just feel like this is not me. This is not happening. I don't feel like myself. Like, how am I supposed to go back to real life? I feel like I'm not gonna be the same mom. Like, I love my son so much and I feel like I appreciate him so much more, but I just feel different. I don't feel like myself. I feel empty. I honestly never thought this would happen to me because with my son, we got pregnant immediately. Like, the first month we started trying, I got pregnant with him. Yeah, I had little bumps in my pregnancy, but it wasn't terrible. Like, it wasn't anything scary. Only that one time when they told me that he might have like a heart defect, but he was fine. And then this time, my boyfriend in December, like the first day of December, I remember we were coming back from the mall. He was like, if you want to start trying, we can start trying. And that week, we started trying and I got pregnant immediately. So I never thought anything was gonna happen. But now when I look back, like at my 7-week ultrasound, I heard the heartbeat and the doctor told me, like, this baby is really little. But since before, I was like harboring feelings like, this is not right. I'm having these nightmares. I don't want to tell people. Like, I had a feeling. Like, now when I look back, like, I had a feeling something wasn't right. So, I still have to go see my OB. We'll see what he tells me, if my baby has passed already. Like, if he's not... I keep saying he, but I don't know what my baby was. I think we're gonna name him or her Angel, because it can be like either sex. And of course, that's our little angel now. I just want to know if like my baby has, like, if I don't have a baby in my belly anymore. I just want to know that everything's so, I mean, I don't even know how to word things because everything is not okay, but I just want to know if like my body's doing okay considering everything that's going on. That has been like the hardest thing I have ever gone through. My boyfriend has been so supportive. He's let me like basically just lay in bed all day if I want, or he's making me eat. That's another thing. I'm not eating. I haven't eaten for days. Only like when he feeds me. I just don't feel like eating. Like for what? But I know I have to like continue to push for my son. And eventually the tears will stop, but this is hard. I know so many moms have gone through this, or women that are trying to conceive and the pregnant, and then this happens. Like as soon as you get that positive, you're a mom. It does not matter. I hate when people say, well, at least it was little. That does not change anything. There's still a life in your body, and unfortunately this happens. But what kills me the most is that I heard the heartbeat. My boyfriend didn't get to hear the heartbeat. I went by myself to that ultrasound, and I'm kind of happy because I feel like if he heard the heartbeat, he would have taken it worse. I feel like he's such a champ. Like he's just worried about my health. He's worried about me right now. He's just so supportive, and I love him so much. But yeah, this is my story. I don't know where I'm gonna go from here, but I'll see if I make more videos on how I'm feeling, like little updates, how I'm doing, how things went with my doctors. I'm sorry this was too much for some, but it's my journey. It's what I'm feeling. It's what I'm going through. And I just needed this for myself. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.